How are you feeling?
Tired, angry, enraged, hopeful, ready. I'm feeling a lot of different things.
I mean, are there even words in the English language right now for the emotion that goes into the evils that we are addressing?
It's a lot of roller coaster emotions. I'm very angry.
Overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. It's been a long time coming, so I'm really overwhelmed with all what's going on.
I guess the most accessible words I think right now are anger, deep sadness, but ultimately hope.
I've been having a rough couple of weeks, but it feels good to come out here and feel the energy of all these people here.
Today's been a good day. It's great to come out and support these community events that focus on Black lives because they really do matter. I'm a mother of 2 boys and married to an African American male.
How am I feeling? I'm feeling very disappointed in society, period.
A combination of elation that this is going on, and I've lived to see this. This is part of a once in a 50-year cycle event, and fortunately there's no fear at the moment like there was 2 weeks ago. Grateful that I can have these discussions.
We've seen tragedy, but it seems like things just don't want to change.
I'm feeling both disgusted at the system that has been in power for the history of this country, and also very excited to see so many people coming together and actually confronting it and trying to envision a better way to do things.
What are you doing to cope with the pandemic and your emotions surrounding racial injustice?
Prayer, because we're not going to, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but He's given us a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. So as long as we stay prayed up, my thought is, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. You just stay prayed up and hope for the best.
For me, spending time outside has been personally really helpful, but I think human connection has been the biggest thing for me. Asking for the support and, making sure that anyone around me has access to the support they need from me or otherwise.
Well, I've been staying in the house a lot, trying to, go by the rules, with my mask and stuff.
I listen to a lot of music. Music is my life. Music is what saved my life a couple of years ago. Writing and listening to music has been how I've been coping with all of this going on.
I think focusing on other people is really helpful for both of those things, If I just think about how I feel, I'd feel helpless. But if I think about, what can I do to help others, that makes me feel, like I have something to contribute.
Well, I'm a writer, so anytime I'm, just trying to process anything that I'm actually going through or dealing with, I hit my pen and my pad. And one glorious thing that, also came into my life during this pandemic, and probably pre-pandemic, I should mention, is yoga. I was on my journey to becoming a yoga instructor, and during that time, I was able to find, just a different way to tap into where I was in that moment and really just work and process through that emotion, that feeling, whatever it was, and just, move through it in a really healthy way, in a cathartic way as well.
How I'm coping with it is really just, I know the whole coronavirus is still going on, but I think that it's important to gather the people that you love the most and really just have these open conversations with people.
Well, I'm coming to as many demonstrations as I can manage. As someone who's well over 65, you notice I stand way away from everybody else, wearing a mask.
Staying out of the way. Want to be part of the solution, not the problem.
I'm staying busy. I'm keeping moving, and I'm just personally, I'm really glad to be part of a crew that's, all trying to find our place in it and trying to support each other. I help with Food Not Bombs, and we've been out at all the protests giving out food and water and making sure everyone stays hydrated and stays safe.
What are your plans to keep yourself and your family safe?
I'm just doing whatever I can to support, and stand up for our equal rights, which is a long time coming, because I have several grandchildren and I'm scared for their lives with the police officers because I had a nephew that they killed over here on Park Avenue. Craig Hurd was my nephew, 14 years old, when the police shot him and killed him. And that still hurts me to this day, and I have never gotten over that. So that's maybe why I feel like I do about the police, because I know they can be very reckless when they're called. When you call them, they come, and they come on some other stuff. They don't treat us fair. They don't treat us fair. I've seen them in several times, That's the way I feel about them.
Well, in terms of the pandemic, wearing masks and washing our hands very frequently and stuff that we always did anyway, but a little bit more than we used to now is very important. And in terms of what's going on right now, keeping my identity not known, because although I'm not scared to fight for my cause, I don't want to lose my life to another blue hand, if that makes sense. I don't want to be part of a hashtag.
A conversation needs to be held with our millennials and our young people about how to conduct themselves if they do find themselves in a situation where they have to face the police. Unfortunately, we have to have those conversations because everyone is not treated equally and safely. But if we have those conversations, hopefully it gives them a way to cope with things so that we don't have outcomes like we have been having.
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, safety is in a way an illusion. Like, we don't know if we're safe or not,
I fill out my daily questionnaire from the county, informing them I do not have a fever or a scratchy throat. My concern is in several months when people start going inside because of the cold weather, that and with the poorer ventilation systems, there might be a reemergence. But I try to be as physically distant as possible and protect my mother, who's in her 70s. I'm healthy and don't have respiratory issues. So it's protecting others and being sensitive to their needs.
Well, my son lives in California with my grandson, his wife. So it's really hard to be separated for such a long time. I keep scheming. My grandson loves maps, so I've challenged him to pick out a route that I could ride by bicycle without having to go up and downhill too much.
Stay out of the way. Keep it real simple. I mean, people don't want to talk about simple solutions. They always want to complicate things. That's what they're good at.
Just keep fighting the good fight and coming out here protesting and keep speaking against, just the injustices that are happening every single day in this country. I don't know any other way to fight but to keep showing up and doing the work. That's all we can do right now, but we have to imagine the future and the now that we want to be in because we deserve it and it's rightfully ours.
What does public safety mean to you?
Public safety means I can walk out of my house with some security that I won't be stopped because of who I am, what I look like, and I can be. I can simply be.
Safe to walk the street, safe to come out, safe to say whatever you want to say, just safe, feel safe.
It means freedom. It just means I'm free to be who I am, to be accepted for who I am, and again, not to live in fear. It's just being completely free to be myself.
To me, public safety means everyone feeling safe, and I think that public safety goes beyond physical situations.
And it's obvious many people in our country don't feel safe by people who are designated with the responsibility of keeping us safe. And that's an injustice.
Ooh, that's a rough one, because most times we're not safe from the people that are supposed to be offering our safety. That's a rough one.
Public safety to me is the community looking out for each other. You see somebody who's not well, stopping and asking them if they need anything, if you can help them.
What does public safety mean to me? Well, first of all, police can't help me, but my neighbor down the street can. I would put more faith in my neighbor than I would the police.
I think a lot of it is preventative. A lot of it is dealing with the sort of underlying things that lead to behaviors that can risk people. I think some of it is changing our idea of what's a risk behavior. You know, if someone is, say, possessing marijuana, that might be illegal, but it's not, there's no reason why it needs to affect anyone's safety. So I think, you know, some of that needs to change. And I think a lot of work needs to be done with how we deal with severely and persistently mentally ill people.
Well, public safety means that that people are decently fed, they have a good place to live, they have enjoyable work, they have a community to belong to. Then there's much less crime, much less mental health disorder. And that's what real safety is.
If you could change the city budget, what would it look like?
Definitely going to our local schools and our health organizations here. I honestly am guilty of not knowing how much the police actually receive from our cities, and I think that a large portion of that should actually go to our local communities, our stores, our health organizations, everything, just local. Keep it towards the people and not for the police.
We need to have a sensible discussion about where it should be allocated, and I believe supporting a quasi-militaristic organization that doesn't allow 40% or more of the population to feel safe, and that's their role. There's a disconnect there, and we need to have a conversation. And I think we all in the community, whether you're a member of the police union, should rise above it and understand if we don't work together, we're just going to continue to split apart, and that's not good for us, not good for Rochester, not good for the country.
So I'm no expert on the numbers, but absolutely I believe that supporting schools, supporting communities in need, actually like reaching out to the core issues of impoverished communities and like what people really need is really important.
There is no reason that anybody in this city should be hungry or suffer from malnutrition living in one of the richest agricultural areas in the country. There is enough food that isn't harvested, that's thrown away, that's left on the vine to feed everybody. And we have to figure out how to make that happen.
I would say a lot in education, a lot in helping the homeless.
0. Yeah, it would be 0 because a lot of the money that's being funded in a lot of these agencies is being wasted. Then you got some agencies, they get X amount of money, and you would expect them to do something for the community, but they don't.
I have no idea. I don't even know what we're working with, but I do know that it has to start with our kids. Our kids are our future, so as many resources as we can dump into our kids, whether that be in the city school district, because I'm a city resident myself, so it has to start with our city kids.
For me, the first choice would be to take funding out of the police and putting that into education and services that service the people, everyone.
I would love to see, just a lot more resources go to, like teaching artists who are actually on the ground working with youth, and not just engaging youth populations, but even other populations, but definitely youth, but also even yogis. Like I'm so adamant about like people actually getting into that, because something is extremely spiritual about the practice of yoga. And once you find out, like all that work that you're doing on that mat, how it translates in real time and in the real world, you get to apply all of that. And to me, it's just those are healthy ways for us to actually engage what we're going through on a daily basis.
Every child would learn how to grow things. You learn math, writing, and how to grow. And it might not make you want to become a farmer, but at least you can grow food and take care of yourself if you need to, and probably a lot of people will want to.
Gosh, I don't know. I would probably fund a program that would fund lost LGBTQ teens being at risk of getting kicked out of my house in the past. I would have wished I had a system like LA and New York does, where like teens can go to a shelter and they could live there until they needed to.
I'd put a lot more into the education for our children, because I feel that's very important, the education system. Because I have a lot of grandchildren that have been out of school, and now they're feeling like they don't even want to go back to school. When you ask them, do you miss school? No, they don't miss school. And I think that's terrible when the kids are not missing school, And I just hope that we put more into the homeless union, the citywide homeless problems, and help the needy more, and not just the greedy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.